one of the top rebounding teams in the league, and actually top 3 in turnovers per game. So I wanted to break down real quickly, why I believe the Rockets are struggling in offense. And believe it or not, it's not just their 3-point shooting. So definitely stick around and let's get to it.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega cash and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here.
We are here to fuel Rockets News. It's the Rockets Field Podcast. And of course, I'm your host, LaShard Bink. Find me on Twitter at BinkleyHoops and find all my written work over at Rockets on SI, part of Sports Illustrated. Of course, we are sponsored by Bet Online and we are part of the Believe Network. And on today's show, as you see, I'm from my car. I just want to kind of give you a quick breakdown of a particular topic that I was thinking about when I was doing my writing today. And a lot of times, some of these podcasts come from articles that I write on a daily basis for Rockets on SI, and this was definitely one of them. I'm the type of person I like to kind of get deep into the numbers, not just look at the surface level stuff that a lot of people tend to do and, make the hot takes. I want to kind of go a little bit deeper than the normal stuff that you may see, normally on social media or from just anywhere on the internet. And today's topic I wanted to break down was why the Rockets are 3-3 despite being a top 5 rebounding team, top 10 in defense, and one of the best teams when it come to not turning the ball over. And believe it or not, it's not just their 3-point shooting, even though, yes, they are still bottom 10 in the league in 3-point shooting. They're actually shooting worse this season through 6 games than they did to finish last season, even though they are still ranked 22nd, just like they were last year. So they haven't gotten really better. They haven't gotten that much worse from 3-point range. So then you start to look, why are they still only 3-3, despite the other numbers that I mentioned earlier? And if you go a little bit deeper into the numbers, yes, you can look at individual players. Like Fred VanVleet has struggled all season. Even Alperen Sengun has struggled, regardless if you think it's because of injury or because of coaching, or because maybe he's just having a bad start to the season. Whatever you think, he is having a down year if you're looking at the numbers. But if you look even deeper into the numbers, it's not just Sengun and just not Fred VanVleet. It's actually the Rockets' 2-point shooting. So pretty much anything inside of 3-point range, the Rockets numbers have dipped dramatically compared to last season. If you look at the numbers and to kind of put in perspective how bad the Rockets' 2-point shooting is this season, if you look at the numbers last year, the Rockets only had one player shoot below 45% from 2-point range, and that was Nate Hinton, and he only appeared in 11 games, so you can't really even count, his playing time. A lot of times it was during garbage time when the Rockets were either down big or had a big lead, and they kind of, brought in the back end of their bench to finish out games. So you really can't even count him. So everybody on the Rockets shot 45% or better from 2-point range, and then the 45%, of course, was Fred VanVleet last year. Now, fast forward to this season through 6 games, the Rockets have 8 players shooting below 44% from 2-point range. So you're talking about basically majority of your roster shooting below 44%. The only 5 players that are shooting above 44% from 2-point range, and Steven Adams has only appeared in 1 game. Cam Whitmore is only playing 11 minutes per game. So really, if you really look at the regular rotation, it's only 3 players that are shooting above 44% from 2-point range. And surprisingly enough, one of those guys is actually Dylan Brooks, which without looking at the numbers, I would have never expected that. But overall, the Rockets are struggling, and it's not like they're shooting a bunch of mid-range shots. They're shooting basically at the basket majority of the time, and they're just not making the shots. And then keep in mind, 3 of the teams that they played so far are top 5 as far as points per game in San Antonio. You have Dallas, and then, of course, who they just played in Golden State. But they also play 2 teams that are bottom 10 in Memphis and Charlotte. So it kind of balances itself out. And regardless, if you're trying to be one of the better teams in the league, you're trying to make the playoffs, it really shouldn't matter who you're playing, especially from 2-point range. You have to do better, especially when you're a team like the Rockets, who unfortunately, it seems like they're not going to be much better from 3-point range this season compared to last season. Like I said, they're still bottom 10 in 3-point shooting. The person that they brought in that they were hoping would kind of jumpstart their 3-point shooting, Reed Shepard, is for one reason or another is not getting that many minutes per game, and I don't really see that changing anytime soon because that's just not the way Ime Udoka coaches. He, for better or worse, he really likes to stick to pick the more veterans on the team, even though he is starting to play players like Amen Thompson more minutes, but he generally sticks to players that he trusts that's been in the league for several years, like Fred VanVleet. Like I said, for better or for worse, Fred VanVleet is usually the guy he's not going to bench. So saying all that to say that Reed Shepard is probably not going to get that many minutes to start the season. So now you're kind of looking at you got who you got. And we all know that the Rockets are an inconsistent 3-point shooting team, so they have to do better from 2-point range. Last season, they weren't exactly a top 5 or top 10 or even top 15 when it comes to 2-point shooting, but they still were shooting over 53% from 2-point range. This season, they're shooting only 47% from 2-point range, which again, if you're shooting a lot of shots at the basket, that is a horrible percentage. And another thing it does is it puts a lot of pressure on your defense because you're constantly having to get back, defend against the fast break, which is constantly putting pressure on your team to get back in the right spots, and you're not able to set your defense. So yes, the 3-point shooting has been bad again this season. The Rockets only shooting around 34% from 3-point range after shooting over 35% last season. But that's not a huge surprise considering that the Rockets have been one of the worst 3-point shooting teams the last several seasons. But the 2-point shooting, everyone from Jalen Green, like I said, Fred VanVleet, Alperen Sengun, their 2-point shooting has significantly dropped this season. And that's the one reason why their offense has struggled so much at times to being inconsistent because they're not a good 3-point shooting team, and now they can't even make layups at the basket. That's why you see long stretches where the Rockets cannot get it going on the offensive end. That's why we saw them down by 30 plus points against Golden State. Also, their defense was horrible the first half, but big reason why is because they were missing so many shots. Golden State was able to get out and get a lot of wide open shots. So if you're consistently missing from 2-point range, you're not a good 3-point shooting team. This is kind of what you're stuck with is a 3-3 inconsistent season so far, which is not probably going to cut it in the Western Conference if you're trying to make the playoffs. Again, they're playing another tough defensive team tonight in New York. Even though they have a different center than they've had in the past, they have more of an offensive center in Karl-Anthony Towns. So the Rockets should still be able to get to the basket and get the shots they want. I really think the Rockets are getting the shots that they want. They're just not making them. I've asked MA several times, and you feel like so-and-so player is getting the shots that they want. The last player I asked about was Fred VanVleet. He said he feels like they're getting the same shots. He feels like Sengun's getting the same shots. They're just, at the end of the day, they're just not making the shots. So I don't know as much you really can do as far as a coach when it comes to that. But there's enough blame to go around as far as the Rockets offense is concerned. Like I said, it starts with their 2-point shooting. They have to improve that number. They have to be able to get, when they get to the basket, they have to be able to finish. It was just so many instances, especially in this last game, where they would get right to the basket, nobody's around, and they still would miss the shot. It's either they're rushing or their timing is off. I don't know exactly what it is, but the numbers don't lie. They are the worst team in the league when it comes to 2-point percentage. They're shooting, like I said, right around 47% from 2-point range, which is just not going to cut it. They have another opportunity tonight against New York Knicks. They play San Antonio on Wednesday. So we'll kind of see how all that plays out as far as if they're able to improve those numbers. Because I think if they are able to improve those numbers, with the other numbers that I mentioned with their defense and the fact that they don't turn the ball over, they could be a top 10 offense even with them struggling from 3-point range. But again, they have to start somewhere. They have to start tonight. And hopefully that also means that Sengun can get it going, because Sengun kind of is still, even with Jalen Green having a good start to the season, even though he had a bad game last game, Sengun really kind of starts the entire Rockets offense. If he's able to get it going and draw double teams and he's playing 30 plus minutes a game, which is a whole nother story. If he's playing that many minutes a game and drawing double teams and they're hitting their shots, that makes the Rockets offense so much easier. So we'll see if they're able to start that tonight again. Appreciate the support so far through the season. It's been a great start to the season as far as the channel is concerned. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. If you're new, welcome to the channel. You'll see we do everything here, not just podcasts. We have pre and post game a lot of times. We do full in-depth videos where we're talking about, like I said, more than just the regular everyday hot takes that a lot of people talk about. So definitely welcome to the channel and make sure you subscribe. And as usual, we appreciate all the support and make sure you check out the next episode of the Rocket Fuel Podcast.